Hello, welcome back to this blustery, windy day. Out today to show you this Pomoly Tesoka, I believe it's called, which is a titanium oven and tent stove. You may have seen me use it in a hot tent a few weeks ago in a camp video, but today I'm just going to set it up and kind of show you around it a bit. So the stove comes with this quite nice carry bag. As you can see, it's thicker than the usual bags because obviously it's double height. So just unzip here. Quite heavy duty this and kind of padded on the inside. You do get straps to hold everything together so you don't get too much rattling, but I didn't put them on after the last camp. So we've got the thermometer here, got a damper, top of the stove, sides to the oven, the stand which we'll go into in a bit, and then the stove itself. You would also have your chimney in here. Mine's in the truck nearby, so I'm going to grab that in a moment. You've also got tools, things for guying out your chimney as well. The stove itself is folding, so you just fold out the front and back, and then the sides, like so. And then you've got these clips just to hold it all in place on the front and back, or the two sides as it is. Then you can see your lid goes on, top of the stove there, and that also just clips in place. Make sure you've got your hole for the chimney at the back. Now this is the base to the stove, and the legs just fold out. Flip it around, that easy. And if you want to use this just as a stove, you can put that on top, and again lock it in place with these clips. And if you want to use the stove with the oven, you have these oven risers for inside, the front and back, one having the hole for the thermometer, and then the two sides, one just like on the stove itself is solid, the other side has a glass door so you can see into that oven and also get into it. The sides to the oven have these tabs which slot in and pop down, and then tabs that go into the base. Then just like with the stove, the tabs slot in to hold that down. These vented risers just sit inside, and then your stove goes on top of that, and like before just clips into place easily on all corners. Your damper slots in to the hole, and then you have small thumb screws just to hold that in place. This stove comes with one of the portable rolling titanium chimneys, but today, because I'm not using it within a shelter, I'm just going to use the solid segments the Pomoly sell. The thermometer just inserts here. You can have it at the front or the back, whatever works for you and your setup, and just a couple of nuts to secure it to the back. Now that's all you have to do to set this up. Doesn't take long at all, especially if you're not filming it. You've got your door at the front there with your vent, and on the side access to your oven. Obviously you can change that to the other side depending on the setup and how you've got it in your sort of shelter. But yeah, simple setup. So I'm just going to process some wood and we'll get it going. Treat it as you would any normal campfire. Get some small sort of kindling and work your way up. Once you've got a bed of coals, you're going to be able to put the bigger stuff in, which generally is about wrist thickness, certainly no bigger for a stove like this. I'm going to put a couple of bits in just to lift other bits off the bottom. I'm going to use this wood wall, or Twizzlers, whatever you want to call them. Now with two of them in and going, I'm just going to lay some smaller bits across. As I'm using firelighters and pretty dry wood, I'm just going to go in with bigger stuff straight away, leaving room for air to move around. Now you can see that smoke's coming back. I like to leave the door ajar slightly while it catches, just to get maximum air in. But the reason that smoke's coming out is because my damper was closed at the back there. So yeah, that's now going. I can close that door, make sure that vent's fully open so it catches. You'll probably get some smoke out of the chimney at first, but unless you're dampening right down, it should be quite a clean burn, quite efficient, and you'll just see that heat shimmer around the chimney. You can see here that the thermometer is already starting to rise. I've only just lit it, so we'll wait for that to get up to temperature before we try out the oven. These tabs are generally comfortable enough to actually be able to handle, but if they do get too hot, you can just use your pieces of wood. Nice and easy. To control the temperature of the stove and the oven, you've got your air vent on the front, which you can close right down to fully open, so you can manage it with that. And to manage the draw through the chimney, you can close down the damper with this, which also can get a bit warm. I've got one of them small Chicago town pizzas, starting to defrost already, so it should be good. So I'm just going to put that in now, because we're already at 150 degrees Celsius. You've got Celsius and Fahrenheit on the thermometer there. Now I believe the oven's a bit cooler at the front than at the back, so you can manage a bit in that way as well. Now I'm just going to put most of the measurements on the screen, but it's made from 1mm thick titanium, as with most of their stoves. The wood stove itself is 3.7 kilograms, which is 8.16 pounds. Measurements are going to be on the screen. There's a volume of 15 litres. Oven stove mode, 4.8 kilograms, 10.6 pounds. So we're still keeping that weight down significantly. But you know, if you are backpacking, you're probably just going to take the stove. Everything that comes with it in the box is the stove, the chimney, the carry bag, the damper, spark arrestor with 3 rings, and the cut resistant gloves as well for rolling that chimney flue. With the stove dampened down to control the temperature, you will notice, and probably have in my videos before, that you get a little bit sooty on the glass. Once that's burning bright again, that'll burn that soot off of the window. Now I think we're nearly there. So I'm going to use a glove just to get the tray out. You can of course turn the tray around, you can even open the door to cool the oven down a bit if you want. But we're looking pretty good there. So that's just been out a minute now. Didn't take long at all actually, less than 10 minutes. I'll just cut that down so we can have a proper look at it. Now I probably should have put the oven tray in first to let that heat up to do the bottom a bit more, but we're looking good. Let's just do a little slice, make life easier to try. Just open up the vents again, burn that soot off and get it burnt down because I'm not using it anymore. Let's try it. Perfect. Yeah, if I was doing pizza I'd probably put the tray in first and heat that up, but it's perfectly fine. You could probably find a pizza stone to fit in it as well, that'd be quite cool. Let that heat up over an hour or so and cook fresh pizzas. The only other thing I've cooked in it so far was when I took it out and I did a shepherd's pie. Got a nice browning on top and warmed it through. Now with the stove mostly cooled down, if I take the lid off here and flip it round, you can see that reinforced design that they now have on these Pomoly stoves, and that stops the warping that you may have seen on other cheaper titanium stoves. They have that on the bottom I believe on this one as well. You can also see where the stove was just burning down, the soot has got on the glass. Now that will just burn off on the next burn, or you can get some kind of damp rag or towel, put some ash on it the ash acts like an abrasive, and that will clean that soot off quite easily. So at this point I think we all know that Pomoly are ahead of most of the game when it comes to titanium stoves. Yes, titanium costs more, someone's going to say that in the comments, but if you do this a lot, or if you live in colder climates and trek a lot, it's going to be well worth it for you. As far as ovens go for tent stoves, I've tried a few different ones, there's a whole video about that. This is going to be the most convenient for sure, and the capacity of the oven isn't too far off what the others are as well. It's just a different configuration because it's flatter. So yeah, all in, really loving this. Easy to deploy, not too heavy, though obviously heavier than just a tent stove, and it does the job. I want to try more things in it because with every camp oven they all have their drawbacks. This one is that the heat is more above than it is below and around. Different ones have different characteristics, let's say, but turning the heat of the oven down is going to help with that, moving stuff around. Even leaving the oven door open ajar isn't going to hurt because smoke doesn't get into that chamber. So look forward to trying out more things on camps with it. You can watch me use it on the camp on the main channel. I'll link the video at the end, but yeah, it's a great product. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you again soon.